They're quicker than us.
We can add a poll.
Should Chase strip?
Should Chase strip? Let's see if we can do that.
Are we live now?
Yep.
All right. You should start recording then. Don't forget to do that.
Oh, yeah. Good reminder.
Okay.
Hey, Bradley. What's going on, man? We're going to start in a couple minutes. Chase, do you start recording?
I did start recording. I told you my mom would be the first or second person on.
Is she here?
Hi, Mom.
I don't see her.
Well, you can see her on the Facebook app.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Barb.
Hey, Barb.
Okay. I feel like this is distracting. Chase, you look a little Unabomber. It's fine. I like it.
I like how delayed everything is. I can just do this. It's like the Brady Bunch in that Facebook chat right now.
It's like Claudia's here. Hello, Claudia.
Hi. Oh, wait. Can you click on the videos?
No. All right, we're going to start in a minute or two, I think.
Thanks.
Hey, Annalise. Thanks, Claudia. Appreciate your dedication.
Hi, David.
You all right?
I'm all right. Yeah, I'm reading the comments.
Hey, Miles. What's going on, man?
Welcome to the Stranger Than Fiction podcast live. I'm Chase.
And I'm Adam. And this is our season 1 finale. If you're listening to this in the future, you should also know that we're streaming it live right now. So it's not our typical episode. However, we will do our best to ensure that our audio-only audience can enjoy the episode as well. The plan here tonight is to recap our first season, talk about some stuff we missed or forgot, and take any questions or comments from anyone who decided to hang out with us here tonight, which we have a few at least, so thanks, everybody. We have a poll, should Chase strip, so please vote on that.
I already voted.
Awesome. And we also have the capability to allow any one of you guys to join us here on the live stream with your, take your face, join it up here on the screen with everybody else for ours. You can check out the link in the initial comments here or on our Facebook page if you want to join the conversation, ask us a question, or whatever. So thanks everybody for being here. Also, we have producer Allison with us as well.
Hello.
So I guess I'd like to start by asking both you guys just a question. So
Okay.
this is the last episode of the season. So Chase, Allison, what would you say your favorite episode was, best episode, and the worst episode?
Okay, what?
Well,
Favorite, best, and worst.
Favorite, best, and worst.
so here's the thing. I think all episodes are worse than the last one. So I can never peg which one is actually going to be good until you actually go and edit them. So kudos to you for editing them. Because when we're
That's
just
why
talking,
this is going to be such a shit show.
when we're just talking, they all sound a little bit hinky sometimes. But for me, I mean, I definitely appreciate the fringe type conversation. So the simulation theory, the Mandela effect.
You're not answering my question.
I'm getting there. Give me a second to get on my high horse for a second. I would say those two are probably my favorite. The simulation theory one is my favorite just because this is what kicked everything off here. So that one is my favorite.
Okay.
We were both noobs, we still are, but we were both noobs to the game, and we had a really good conversation about it. Mandela effect for me, I think, was one of those that is probably my favorite because it opened the eyes to all the listeners. I think the people that didn't know what it was, and it really, I got a lot of comments from that saying, "What the fuck is my life?" Basically, I don't know anything anymore because of some of the stuff that we brought up, and everybody's second guessing what's actually happening in this world. So that's probably my favorite. My least favorite, I would say
worst and least favorite, two different things. Worst.
The worst. There is no bad one, of course. But I would say the worst is also the simulation theory because we were noobs.
It's the best and the worst.
It's the best. It's the best and the worst because we had one single mic and we were huddled around it like this, like our faces just breathing this close to one another. So that was, and we were drinking and it was a brand new adventure for us. So that is quality wise, that's probably the worst. It's my favorite topic. What was the third one?
The favorite, best, and worst.
So best, I think, is probably the Mandela effect. So somewhere I answered all three of those.
You almost named every episode, and I don't really feel like I know what your answer was. But
okay,
Allison, what about you?
I think my favorite to record was probably JFK.
Okay.
Oh, interesting.
Because that was just fun to sit back and listen to. The worst, Illuminati, I think, only because we had to do that one twice. That was a weird one.
Yeah, I was sick, so I was hyped up on beer and pain meds the first time, and that was not a safe one.
And what was the other one?
Favorite?
I think my favorite is Mandela effect.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was my favorite to research.
Yeah, for what it's worth, I think that's the general, from what I've heard from people and everything, I think that's the general consensus is that Mandela effect is everybody's, or one of everybody's favorites.
So
what about you, Pasta?
So for me, favorite, I think was probably Classifieds. I think I enjoyed that one. That was a fun one to do. I think it turned out pretty good. The best, I think, was Mandela effect, not necessarily like our ability to do the podcast, but the content of it, I think, was the best.
Yeah.
Worst for me was definitely simulation theory. I think the topic was really good. I wish we almost hadn't done it first because I think we could do it better now.
Now's our chance.
So, I mean, but I think that was the worst. If you listen to it back now, I don't know if anyone has. Probably not, besides me. But it's just not. It's not good. It's not good.
Mm-mm.
It's much better when we're not in the same place, actually. So I think that helps a lot.
So we have some unpopular opinions in the comment section. Haley says that Strange Medical Facts is one of the best, which, from what we've heard, is.
Come to find out, I don't even remember what half the topics are that we talk about. Now that everybody's saying that, yeah, I would agree with a lot of the sentiment. The medical ones for me was not I thought it was going to be a lot more fun than it was. but it wasn't.
It was a lot more poop, I think, in the end than we.
Yeah, that's what I have in my notes, aka the poop episode.
Yeah, and the classified ones was definitely a fun one. Those weird ones where they don't require a lot of evidence or argument. It's just us reading random shit. Yeah, that's definitely right up there where I excel most in life for the most part. So,
cool. But anyway, that was where I wanted to start, and it kind of, at least for me, transitioned into the first episode. So simulation theory. Again, I think it was our worst episode, but I did listen to it back recently, and had some questions that I wish I would have asked you. So maybe let me just ask you here. So
all right, let's go for it.
If so, as you believe and described there, we're in a simulation, right? Okay. And you asked me several times in that episode if you thought our society would advance far enough technologically to be able to create such a simulation, right? Yes. So anyway, I was thinking, so if we are in a simulation, and you were asking me if our society could advance enough to create a simulation, to me that's saying that our current society is going to advance more to be able to create a simulation, and then that simulation will be able to advance to create a simulation. So you have this like giant nesting doll type of situation with simulations. So
multiverse,
which simulation are we in?
I don't think you can label the simulation. I think what you now see, the tricky thing about a live episode too is that everybody on this whole thing is going to see my
gets to hear your fucking crazy shit,
or it's just going to see
that I cut out normally.
My thinking like dead face of like let me think this through so I don't sound like a total turd. What I don't know if I even understand your question, because I don't think that's it. I don't think it's a relevant question, because there's not like levels of simulation, right? It's each civilization that exists. In theory, there's one main civilization that started all simulations. But there's one foundational. this is why this episode sucked. There's one overarching society that has started the simulation. In theory, yes, that simulation should be able to advance enough to be able to create their own simulation. However, there is an argument that says, well, once you're able to create your own, once you've advanced enough to create your own simulation, or
see, normally I'd edit that out, but
that one crept up on me. That was the thought coming up from the belly. Normally, you would the society would probably be shut off before they got to the point to be able to create another simulation, because if you got to a point where you were able to have your own simulation, if you were to create your own simulation, then you would be able to prove that a simulation could be done, which means you have a high potential that you've lived in a simulation, which means okay. Well, let's move on then. I don't need to answer the question.
We have a couple questions.
All right.
David.
Yeah. So David makes a good question. I think I brought this up in Mandela Effect. I mean, so he asked, would the Mandela theory be part of a simulation?
Yes. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So, I mean, I'm pretty sure I asked you this question in the episode because I thought it was an opportunity for you to really sell simulation theory harder than you did, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well,
because I feel like it fits really well, or at least it could. You can make the argument pretty strongly.
Yes. So Mandela Effect would play into the theory of multiverse, which again, if you just listen to my rant, was clear as day of what a multiverse is and how it would obviously come about. But the Mandela Effect could be from basically leakage from another universe, basically. So what's happening? These multiverses, these universes are running side by side. Sometimes their wires get crossed, their brain signals get crossed, the gas leaks into another one, and you start to see that world as it exists comparatively to your world, but thinking that that is your world. So it's not an easy concept. You guys act like this is like, how do you how do you throw a baseball? Like that's not that easy. Like we're talking about stuff that I am not even qualified to talk about, but I'm
There's
trying
a lot
to
of ways to
explain.
throw a baseball though, man.
But I'm saying, well, I know, but I'm saying I can fucking throw a baseball. I've never discovered another universe. I can throw a baseball. But what I'm saying is there's potential. If you believe in multiverse, then the Mandela effect would be an extension of that. Multiverse, to me, goes hand in hand with simulation theory, which means that if simulation theory exists, that means there's multiverses. If multiverses exist, then there's Mandela effect, and all you're seeing is like these parallel worlds sort of colliding and sort of manipulating your brain, and you're not ever going to see it.
Okay.
Okay.
So you
Great.
still
Okay.
All right, and we're done here.
So you still didn't really answer my question. You don't think so? You just think we're in like the first simulation of some other world.
Yes.
We're not like in the nesting doll analogy. Like,
Well,
the
you would
little
never
tiny
know.
things
The fact that you would never even know, and somebody commented that it's very philosophical. It is, because you're never going to actually know that you're in a simulation. So I couldn't even postulate as to whether or not we would be the first of a simulation or the 100th of a simulation. You will never know, because the fact that we're even in a simulation would be unprovable.
That's the exact type of stuff that you love. Stuff
Fucking
that you
Neil deGrasse Tyson this podcast right now. Did you? I mean, if you guys are confused, I completely understand. But I can write it out for you or something. But
Yeah,
you need a
please
big
do.
old
Please do.
whiteboard behind you.
Please do.
I can get a whiteboard. That's fine.
So again, remember, you guys can come live on with us. We haven't had any
Who
volunteers
wouldn't want to
there.
do that? Who would not want to do that right now?
Basically, you would go to BeLive.tv on your computer if you're watching there. If you're on a phone, you would have to download the BeLive app. But once you do that, there's a link in the comments. I can put it in again, or maybe Allison, you can do that.
I feel like I'm like fired up. Like my cheeks are all red. I'm already. We're 17 minutes into this, and I'm already fired up.
There you go.
Well, no, I'm putting it in here. So
Okay. Yeah.
And then you'll go into a queue, and then we'll be able to pull you in if you want to. All right, so I'm sure we'll come back to simulation theory, I guess, but episode 2.
Well, let's we can leave it, but I want to ask you a question of are you any closer, based off of my obviously pretty solid evidence of believing in simulation theory, or are you any more educated and more forward looking for simulation theory, or are you still just a complete non-believer? We've had 15 weeks basically to think it over. So
I mean, I guess I'm closer maybe than when we started, I guess, on the spectrum. But I've tried to give you every opportunity to really sell me as a believer.
Yeah,
and
but
you haven't made the argument yet for me. But oh, there we go. How many? What's the poll? What was the poll?
He's starting to strip. Okay, where are we at?
I don't know. I can't.
And you have to end voting to see the results, I think.
I got
here we
too
go.
hot.
Here we go.
It doesn't matter. I got too hot. It doesn't matter.
It looks like
yes
big
is
time
winning.
up there.
All right, I'm not doing any more. That's the end. But I'm never going to convince you, because I can. It's hard for me to even convince myself, and there are very smart people out there that haven't even convinced the world. So I'm not. It's just a matter of my ranting. But let's move on. There's more interesting stuff to talk about.
All right, so episode 2, like we talked about, was strange medicine. Or as I mentioned earlier, aka the poop episode.
Yeah.
So we talked a lot about poop and its healing power of poop. For me, I don't know what you wanted to kind of rehash here, Chase, but I feel like this one had a much better flow on this episode. We kind of had one episode under our belt, so it was a little bit better. But we talked about something in that episode, the Asian longhorn tick, that was particularly scary to me.
Yeah. We're still alive, though.
I hate this little fucker.
Yeah,
So
we're still alive.
He at the time, they were terrorizing our home states of North Carolina and Virginia. Since that episode aired, they have moved to Arkansas, Connecticut, Maryland, New York, Pennsylvania, West Virginia. They're just taking over the country.
We're surrounded.
And remember, these are the little shits that can reproduce up to 2,000 eggs at a time without any tick sexy time. So by themselves, they're horrifying little fuckers.
Yeah, I don't really appreciate you keep bringing that up because it is terrifying. Luckily, it is not. Are they still rampant in the wintertime is the question, because that I think becomes the terrifying factor is if they like survive on with like other ticks, you can't really get ticks on you in the wintertime. So,
well,
I guess maybe
where you are.
I guess
right?
maybe. Well, yeah, and in here when it's 30 degrees out, you're not going to get a tick on you, but yeah, well, look, if something can reproduce on its own, isn't it bound to? It's like an alien, right? Like if an alien goes to DC and says, "Okay, I'm just going to take this shit over," and it can replicate itself, pretty soon it's in every fucking state. You're donezo.
Okay, so we got some interesting things in the comments. So one, Haley out there said this was her favorite episode. I would be interested in hearing why she thinks that this is her favorite episode. But also Miles, who was our guest on JFK, he commented that Strange Medicine started the trend for you, Chase, of mentioning putting things in your butthole.
Yeah, well,
it started the trend. Let's be clear on the podcast.
Yeah, I was just going to say
for many years.
Behind the scenes footage for you guys that comes up in every aspect of my life. Not actually doing it, but referencing it in a lot of different conversations. So, yeah. Well,
we need a game of truth or dare here.
We could probably do a tally and like donate $1 for each time we mention something shoved in your butthole to like a Red Cross or something. Yeah, the prostate cancer, like butthole reconstruction. Yeah, interesting.
Anyway.
That's a good stat, I think. Miles, get a life, first of all, but secondly, thanks for listening, and thirdly, no need to bring those up.
Listeners, man. Don't assault the listeners.
No need to bring that up anymore.
All right.
That's that was I'm happy that it was somebody's favorite episode because that was the first one too where we sort of started mixing like random I'll call them random episodes with more like advanced research episodes. So that was fun for that.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm sure people noticed we tried to kind of alternate lighter episodes with heavier, more research intensive episodes because obviously we have other things to do in our real life. So, turning around the episode on a weekly basis was pretty time consuming. But yeah. So Haley's saying that Strange Medicine was the first one she listened to. So I guess it's what
drew her in. Yeah.
So that's cool.
It's the butthole talk. It's the butthole talk.
I really did enjoy the Would You Rather game there. Like I wish that I could come up with more.
Well, that was because it was your idea.
You come.
You're welcome, people.
You come for the Strange Medicine. You stay for the butthole.
All right. So our third episode of the season was Illuminati. So this
Alex Jones.
Yeah, Alex Jones. So this episode was for me kind of one of the less good ones, I suppose. And I think because, like you said, we essentially had to do this one twice.
Hey, Drew. Sorry.
Drew's on.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, what's up, Drew? We had to do this one twice, basically. The first time we did it, we had some issues, and it didn't go well.
It's called NyQuil and beer, and they don't mix, Chase. For the record.
I tried to push it out every week, and that week was not a. I barely remember that entire week. So, that was not great. My apologies.
So I mean, that first attempt was pretty much me just talking, which I don't think anyone wants to listen to. But the second time, it was, it just wasn't as organic, I would say. So,
you guys hear these dogs?
Which is strange because that would be in theory if we were talking about, and obviously we've talked about topics, but that is high up on my list of like things that I would want to talk about. And then when we actually did the episode, I think it fell a little short. But yeah, that was still a fun one to do. I think we still.
Yeah, I mean, there's some
ran into a
interesting
lot of-
things in there. One thing that I wanted to circle back on, we talked about in this episode the symbolism around owls. So the Illuminati used owls as symbols for their group. At the time, if you recall in that episode, we pretty much said, yeah, they use owls, but we have no real idea why. We didn't really look into that part. So just to kind of circle back on that, it really goes back to the Greeks and the Romans. The owl was viewed as the ruler of the night and was always depicted on the shoulders of goddesses like Minerva and Athena, so the goddesses of wisdom and learning. So since the Illuminati, as we learned, are the wise rulers of the planet, it would make sense that they would adopt this symbol for wisdom and knowledge. Also, owl eyes are really creepy and they're open all the time. So it's kind of like they're all seeing.
Always to be watching, yeah.
Yeah, all seeing, which is like another kind of big thing for those guys. So
Yeah, and I think the Illuminati episode or the Illuminati topic as a whole, I think is strange because everybody has their own thoughts about the Illuminati too. Like you could literally sit here and talk about like the Illuminati runs the world, the Illuminati runs the media, the Illuminati is this and this and this and this. So I think it's a hard one to pin down from a topical perspective as well.
Yep, and as Miles called us out on creepy. Yep. Yes.
Did I say creepy
word.
again?
No, I said creepy. But yes,
He's starting to count.
Yeah,
Miles is like our statistician for this show.
Again, reminder, any new viewers, we still haven't had anyone want to come on live with us. So
I don't really see why you
Kelly,
wouldn't want to
where's
come
the
on.
owl on the dollar bill?
It's hiding up in the corner. That's actually correct. So Kelly calls out here that you can find the owl on the dollar bill. This is correct and accurate. We didn't talk about this, but it's up in the corner.
Okay.
It's
What's
like peeking its little head out.
What's the reason for the owl on the dollar bill?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of Freemasonry symbolism. The owl also is a Freemason symbol.
But well, yeah, but that's a very like conspiracy theory. Like, there's got to be an actual reason why they included the owl on the dollar bill. Does anybody know that?
Because it's all a big conspiracy.
No, I don't think that's the case. They wouldn't blatantly just put a dollar or an owl on a dollar bill without reason. I mean, that's just if somebody wants to look that up while we're talking, that would be a fun thing to know. That's interesting to me. Like that is a true form of like a conspiracy theory. Like, why the fuck is there an owl on the dollar bill?
It's really tiny. You have to look really hard for it. But
that's even more reason. That's even creepier.
It's really fucking creepy. So episode 4 was not fake news.
Yeah.
So this one was a pretty popular episode, and we are planning to do another iteration of this one next season. It's one of a couple that we're going to try to do another take on. It was pretty popular, fairly well received, and it was a fun one to do for us. I think it was the first time that we really had or at least for me, it was a really, really fun episode to record for on my end, at least.
Yeah, and I mean, the key to that is they're all fucking real news stories. Like, they're not something we just made up or just found. Like the classified ads on Craigslist and stuff. Those ones are probably made up by some trolls on the internet where they're like, "Oh, this might be funny to post on Craigslist." But those news stories, man, it's a strange. It's almost a stranger than fiction world that we live in.
So again, we are going to do another take on this, but I do have a real short little not fake news headline for you.
Okay.
So this one actually came pretty recently in the news here, and it's kind of close to you, from the DC area.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of gone viral, so a lot of you might have heard about it already.
It may be been heard, but basically the headline was, "Thinking New Mexico is another country, Marriage Bureau clerk asks New Mexico man for passport." So basically this DC clerk, this guy goes to get a marriage license with his fiance, a woman. So I mean, we're not even talking, gay marriage, which is legal in a lot of places, but it's not even that type of situation. They went to go get a marriage license. the guy was from New Mexico, and the clerk thought that he needed a passport because he was from another country.
Yeah, see, that's such a the humans are stupid.
And I think the supervisor in the story agreed with her.
Yeah, like show me your New Mexico passport.
I think somebody made him Google it. Everybody in the line was laughing.
That has to be like a racial thing, right? Or like a
no. This guy was he wasn't like Hispanic or anything. I mean,
no.
he was like a he looked like maybe he was like from Texas. He was like a cowboy type of guy.
And the clerk went so far as to compliment him on how well he spoke English.
Yeah, so he said, "Oh well, for being a foreigner, you speak English really well."
Yeah, that sounds about right. Weird.
Now, to be fair, New Mexico has only been a state since 1912.
Oh yeah. So this guy, he was 162.
They were the 47th state. So I mean,
yeah. Well, people are still catching up. Let's give them time, and we'll check back with that story in a year and see if they've. I got one for you. Would you like another not fake news story?
Yeah, sure.
I don't want to dwell on this fake news, but here's a light one for you. Pet peacock runs away from home and takes up with wild turkeys. There was a Vermont couple that lost their pet peacock.
Peacock?
This is one of those things that you edit out too. Let's take two. There was a Vermont couple that says their pet peacock has been on the loose for 6 weeks, and they put out a plea. And listen to this plea. This is a very desperate plea. It says, "My peacock has run off with the turkeys. Do you have any suggestions on how to catch the little twerp? I do not believe they can breed. Concerned. I know where he is most days.
They could have sex, I'm sure.
Any information would be appreciated." That wasn't that funny.
Peakies?
That wasn't that funny.
Pet peacock.
No, the mental image I had was pretty funny though.
Yeah, but I mean, they had a pet peacock that ran away. It ran away, and they can't find it. So
was it a male or female peacock?
I don't know. I don't know if they got down to that granularity of the story.
I mean, because it really matters because the females look very different than the males.
I don't know, but what they did say was that when the peacock had a sibling, they had 2 peacocks. The one sibling died, so this peacock went on the search for other peacocky looking birds, and I guess took up some turkey time. So that's just a little tickle for the next round of fake news.
So
not fake news.
Circle back to Illuminati here, Chase. Since you're close to DC, Kelly's saying that the owl shape can be found in DC by building structures and roads. You see a lot of owls hanging out.
Is the owl structure considered or is the owl shape like? Well, is it a true owl shape, or is it like some interpretation that looks like an owl?
I mean, I assume it's a little bit of both, probably. But
all right, I'll do some research on that. And thanks, Drew, thanks, Drew, for the peacock knowledge that you have. Between Miles and Drew, we should have some pretty good actual statistics in this.
Yeah, so Drew is clarifying for us that peacocks are male, peahens are female. So clearly my question was poor when I asked if the peacock was a male or female.
Peahens?
They're all peafowl.
I've never heard of a peahen before. Is there no peahens? Because nobody ever has referred to a peacock as a peahen.
I mean, peacocks aren't these ticks, man. They need females to.
I know, but they must be in captivity or somewhere because nobody's like, "Hey, did you see that peahen over there?"
Well, the peahen is the one that doesn't. I mean, it doesn't look like a peacock, like with all the colored shit.
Well, how do you know that?
How do I know that?
Yeah, you don't even know that there's a fucking difference. Now you know that they look different.
No, I said the females.
Yeah.
The female. I said female peacocks, which was apparently wrong.
Okay.
But the
female peafowl.
The female peafowl, yes, does not have all the plumage. Yeah, it's just to attract the.
Yeah, I want to see a picture. Can we add one too?
Not easily, no.
And Kelly, I will be on the lookout next time I'm in DC for any owl type.
Drew says people are stupid. That's accurate.
And Miles is saying that the owl is outlined on the Capitol building lawn.
Oh, see, I think that's a malarkey. I'll look for that too. I'm gonna go on a research mission. I'll film it and
please do.
We can post it on our website. Yeah.
Please
or
do.
extra content.
Yep, exactly, Claudia. The male peafowl are
fuck is this
prettier
podcast?
to attract females. That's
Have we
correct.
just turned into like the best bird podcast on the internet? Does anybody else have any bird knowledge that we need to know about?
All right, so again, still looking for that first volunteer to come live with us.
Everybody's talking.
You should put out the-
It's late. It's late. Everybody's out of their makeup.
Everyone's scared.
half naked. Nobody wants to be seen.
Miles put some weird, huge link in there. I'm not sure what that is, but
Probably not safe for work.
so Allison just posted the link there. You can go to that link on your computer, or if you have the Be Live app on your phone, you can come live with us here. So
And we can circle back to any topic you guys want to talk about. Just because we've passed it or haven't talked about it yet, we can definitely talk about it.
Absolutely. So episode 5 was Mandela Effect. So this was probably one of our more popular and controversial topics, I would say, to date. Got a lot of people talking, not believing, Googling shit that they didn't believe what we were talking about. We had a lot of activity as well on Twitter. So several listeners on Twitter actually commented to us, tweeted at us about the Mandela Effect on some different Mandela effects that we didn't cover that they thought were, particularly striking or interesting to them. One user, Dale A. Jackson 2, wrote to us about the human heart. So he distinctly remembers the heart being positioned on the left side of the human chest, but it's actually like in the center. So
What? Wait, repeat that.
Okay, so Dale A. Jackson 2.
Okay, I didn't need to repeat the Twitter handle, but go ahead.
So he tweeted at us about the human heart. So he distinctly remembers the human heart being slightly off center to the left of the human chest.
Right here.
But it's basically right in the middle.
No, but that's right here comparatively to right here. I don't think is. How does anybody? I don't think that's. I don't think that's true.
So like you don't remember like in elementary school when we said the Pledge of Allegiance, they would make you like go over to the left.
Of course.
But it's actually it's in the middle. It's in the middle.
I don't think that's true to form though. If
Look
you look
it
at
up,
any,
man.
I'm gonna look it up right now. How do I Google where is the heart located? There we go. See, the heart, the chambers of the heart. The heart is a muscle organ. Just in case you guys were.
If you ever looked at our Twitter, you would see he actually posted like a picture of the anatomy.
Yeah, see some of these. I don't have Twitter. Some of these show like it drifts off to the left, for sure. But okay, I'll go with it. I mean, it's definitely off centered, but it's more centered than it would be left, I guess.
Bellamy is saying it is to the left, just a little.
Yeah. Thank you, Bellamy.
I'm telling you, go check out Dale Jackson. He's got some compelling.
I think we need to do a live autopsy. That's the next phase of this.
That sounds pretty gross.
Do you
we had another Twitterer, Nathaniel Hebert, commented on us about the famous statue, the Thinker. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, of course.
What pose is the Thinker statue in?
He is in.
Can you demonstrate it for us?
Yeah, I mean, I can. Do you guys want to see my muscle or no muscle?
Gosh, take us to the gun show, man.
It's like this, right? Hold on, let me make sure I'm going to get my muscles in here.
All right, so you're putting the knuckles to the mouth?
No, like I'm thinking, like, and then you can't see my knee, but I'm also like thinking like this.
So knuckles to the chin?
Knuckles to the chin, like, what's going on here?
Okay, so he wrote about some different evidence that there's 3 different positions about the Thinker. So one is the fist against the forehead type of.
I could see
position.
that. Yeah, that's like that's like Tebowing though.
Yeah, kind of like Tebow. The chin against the back of the open hand, kind of thing.
Like this.
No, like this.
Yeah.
This. Or the eating the knuckles, kind of like you were doing there.
Yeah, I would say it's more like, that's curious.
It's it's eating the knuckles is the actual current one in this
right?
in this reality or whatever.
Yeah, in this real, that's true. In a different universe, we don't know what the true.
But
what
he laid out. He actually wrote an article. He linked to his website or something. This guy did to us about the thinker. He's very passionate about it. So Nathaniel, if you're listening to this in the future, because I don't think you're on right now, thanks for tweeting that to us.
Do you want a couple of new ones we didn't talk about?
No, God, I'll never sleep tonight.
Sure.
They're not weird ones.
Hey, Dad. Sorry, my
Hey, Dad.
on.
Did I don't think we talked about this one, but did or did not? There's no try. Just kidding. Did or did not the Monopoly Man have a monocle?
I don't think he did. I think it's the Planet Peanut guy.
I don't even guys, I don't understand your logic. There wasn't
see, the thing is, we did see this one in our research.
But it wasn't a binary question of if given the Planner's Peanut guy and the Monopoly guy, which one has? There wasn't the fucking question. Because the Planner's Peanut guy has the monocle, the Monopoly guy doesn't.
I'm just saying that you see both of those people in your frequently in your everyday life. They're common marketing things. So,
yeah, but one's a fucking peanut.
Yes, I agree.
And the other is the Monopoly guy.
Yeah, but basically the Planet Peanut guy is almost like a peanut version of the Monopoly guy. It's like they're very similar, like people or things.
Okay. All right. Well, he does not. He does not have. I'm dumbfounded by your logic as to how you got to the right answer.
Hey, Simon.
Correct answer is he does not have a monocle. All right. So
Simon says you're not as cute as Adam said, Chase.
Do you? How about now? Yep, that was it. Backwards hat. Yeah. So no monocle. Called that one.
All right. So, can you sing me?
No,
the Mr. Rogers theme?
Cannot.
You sing me the Mr. Rogers theme song.
No, I can't sing anything.
Will you?
Can you know copyright laws and stuff?
No.
We screwed that.
Can you delightfully interpret by speaking the Mr. Rogers theme song? You don't want to. You don't want to William Shatner it.
Won't you be my neighbor?
So is okay. We're just gonna skip over that part.
I don't know.
Freddie Mercury, you are not.
No.
The song starts off with what? Is your two questions
a beautiful
are
day in the neighborhood or something.
See, this is a part of the podcast I'd edit out because it's just not landing, man. I don't know.
Okay, listen. A or B? Is it? It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, or it's a beautiful day in this neighborhood?
Oh, A.
I would probably say A, so that probably means it's B.
Why would you say that? You don't want to come up with some fakakta freaking logic that says, well, since Queen sang "We Are the Champions," it has to be "It's a Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood."
I say A.
If I was going to, I'd be something like, so Tom Hanks is going to play Mr. Rogers.
What about
movie about his life?
That is true.
So I'm going to go with B.
Okay. What about the people that are watching? I see a couple miles.
I see two A's.
If it wasn't so long, I'd put it in a poll. Annalise says A.
What's the answer?
I actually don't remember what A or B was, but the
A was D and B was this, I think.
Okay, so the answer is the true lyrics are "It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood." So for those of you that
I'm from this universe,
chose A, you were of the wrong universe, and B, you were of the right universe.
It looks like Xander called it out after you said it. So
hey, Xander.
Hi, Xander.
Good to.
Well, no, it's delayed, so I think that was legitimate.
Oh yeah, that's probably true. Sorry, Xander, you were correct.
And one of the things, and we had a couple of people hit me up personally, not on social media, but with the actual a portion of this Shazam movie where they they actually saw a
they sent you like a video clip.
Well,
yeah, it was but I think it's a garbage clip. I think they made it because of the exact sort of Mandela effect thing that is happening. I think they just went like Sinbad made it as a joke and actually made it and posted it to just fuck everybody's world up. But yeah, I just thought that was funny that I think this episode of all episodes that we've done fucked people's minds so hard.
Yeah, and so Claudia is talking about the kind of misleading lyrics, which is what she's, which is kind of what mishearing. You're right. She correct herself, and I agree that was I can't remember what we used in the episode, but that was kind of an argument. It was about Forrest Gump and his accent. I think that the accent just kind of makes it so you can't really tell what the line is. So, I mean, I think some of those are kind of debatable to me, whether they're like Mandela effect or just like, consequences of accents or, or just patterns of speech or whatever.
Yeah. So also just one more thing, and I don't believe that. I think it's definitely a different universe. But there is also just, and we can move on from Mandela effect after this if we want. But at the end of We Are the Champions, there is no of the world that everybody sings. There has never been that instance of it in any of the legitimate recordings of Queen's We Are the Champions.
What do you mean of the legitimate recordings?
I mean, okay.
Because I don't think this one's right.
What do you mean you don't think it's right?
I don't think that's correct.
All right, fight me then, because I'm not making this up. You just live in a different universe.
We were just listening to some Queen today. We didn't.
Okay.
That song didn't play, but no, I don't think that one's right. We're gonna have to look that one up.
All right. Well, somebody prove me wrong. Somebody find a recording where they say "of the world" and then.
Oh no, that is 100%.
You weren't listening.
Okay.
I was
in your universe. In your universe, that exists.
I'm finding
that. I think in every universe that exists.
Yeah, that's some shit.
Yeah,
Xander, we covered that.
Yeah,
Xander,
so Xander,
back to the podcast.
Yeah, we kind of kicked off the episode. So Xander's saying that he just got here, and he's not sure if we covered the famous Star Wars line that Darth Vader says.
Yeah, that's in the actual episode.
No,
itself.
I am your father.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the first things we talked about, I think, in the episode.
Yeah, and that one.
Thanks for bringing it up, though.
I think that one is by far one of the most I mean, if we're talking about like jaw dropping shit in that episode, like that's one of those things that just really like your whole life you grew up with Luke, I am your father, and then you're like, oh no, that's not even fucking right. So then you start to question everything, and then you realize the Shazam movie isn't real, and then your just whole life breaks down. So,
Chase, I think Bradley's talking to you here. He said, "Let's not forget negate." Another one of your favorite words.
Okay, I feel like this whole podcast turns into like just criticizing what I have to say. What everybody has to realize is that
everyone loves you, man.
I'm a big dumb fucking idiot. So I talk, I ramble like this, I go like this, and then I try to blab something that makes some sort of sense, and sometimes it does. I do a lot of research on stuff. I know a lot of weird stuff. I don't know a lot of legitimate stuff that helps people in life. But I know a lot of decent stuff like fucking Oak Island and Mandela effect and simulation theory. Thank you, Bradley, for negate. I'll try to change up my vocabulary that I've been using for my entire life for this podcast.
We'll just get you with
You've been saying negate your entire life.
I'm going to negate my entire life, and it's going to be super creepy to go through that, but we'll make do.
So what was the nexus of you saying negate?
That was the nexus. And for those of you that don't fucking know, this is a hot topic for me because Adam edits out so much shit that I say because it's they told me that I don't sound the same in person as I do on this podcast, and that's not the case. And I try to
you sound better on the podcast.
I know because in real life I don't need to be smart. On the podcast I want to represent myself to the truest form because this is Ellie's legacy. Someday she's going to listen back on this and say my dad isn't a big dumb idiot. So or she might might change her mind. So I don't know.
All right, so
I will try not to use negate anymore.
No, you can continue, man. It's like a trademark patent.
Just keep a tally, Bradley.
Again, reminder: we got ability to let anyone come join us. So
somebody, please.
Somebody join us.
Why are you shouting?
Because maybe they'll do it if I yell.
If Allison tells them to, they will probably.
I've got that like mom thing.
No, good one. I see.
So
spit all over my keyboard.
So episode 6 was Oak Island.
Yeah.
So
this one's gonna fire me up here too. Go on.
So in Oak Island, this episode was I think a lot of people did not know anything about Oak Island going into it. From what I heard, at least the feedback that I got. But I mean, it was a pretty interesting one that you were pretty passionate about. You know, you really liked this TV show, and you told us a lot about the TV show. But do you want to kind of fill us in on what's going on in the latest season? The big dramatic discoveries.
Spoilers coming.
Oh yeah, I'm sure you guys all jumped on to the show right after we talked about this.
And before you start, Miles, thank you. We see you in the queue. We will bring you in here shortly.
I mean, we don't need to bring in Miles, but is it Miles with an I or Miles with a Y? Is it Miles?
Miles with an I.
All right. We still don't need to bring him on either, but my blood pressure is slowly rising up as we get deeper and deeper into these episodes. I get more fired up.
As Miles gets closer and closer to coming on, you get.
Yeah. See, you can shout all you want, but hey, it worked. My yelling worked.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so hopefully you guys it's like the Illuminati.
Illuminati.
Oh jeez, this is going downhill real quick.
I can't edit your burps out, man. I can't edit them out.
All right, so this is like the Illuminati episode for me, where I was super excited to talk about it, and I think it fell short a little bit as to the excitement of what Oak Island actually is. Adam, I know you're a fucking Debbie Downer when it comes to Oak Island, which I don't believe you should be. And I was hoping that you would jump on the History Channel bandwagon and catch up to the show, and you haven't.
So I mean, there's no evidence. They haven't found shit.
What? No evidence of what?
They haven't found any treasure.
They haven't. What?
So, and your argument in the episode was just, I want to believe, and that's a really weak argument to me. So
okay, well, you're talking from a scientific standpoint. You're saying that they haven't found anything, and then from my standpoint, you're asking me why I believe that there's treasure on Oak Island. It's because I want to believe. But there's also whatever you decline to be evidence. I don't think it's the case. They've found plenty of evidence. They have what evidence? Okay, so let's start here before I go on. What evidence do you need that would show you that something of interest happened on Oak Island? What would that be? Like, what would that like damning evidence be?
They've been looking for treasure on Oak Island for like 200 or 300 years. I don't remember. I would think they would have found some treasure besides like a little
some gold coins here and there in the swamp.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's not.
And again, I go back to the argument that I put forth in the episode about if you were going to hide some treasure, why you would want to hide it and the depth which you would bury it, and I just don't see it.
Aha. So I will start there then. Here comes, for those of you that are watching Oak Island and have not caught up to the newest two episodes of this season, which is the first 2 episodes of this season, mute yourself or don't listen anymore because I'm about to just spoil the shit out of the whole damn thing.
Just don't leave, though. Don't leave.
Yeah, don't leave. Just like press the mute button and
we need all 19 of you.
This is your time to go take a piss, but which I would love to do. So if there's somebody that wants to come on that wants to talk something with Adam and Allison, I'd love that. Or else I got these bottles here that are going to be recycled in about 2 minutes.
Dumb and Dumber style.
Yeah. But so
someone left. They didn't want to get spoiled.
I know, that's okay. They didn't. I think that was even before that I was going to announce spoilers, but whatever. So on this episode now, what they're saying on Oak Island now is they've they've done the first ever basically what they're doing is they're putting small dynamite in the ground and they're blowing up. Let's say, I'm just going to make up an arbitrary number of every 10 feet. They're putting small dynamite in the ground every 10 feet, and they're putting it in the ground every 10 feet. And just nobody's even paying attention to me.
We lost another one. You're already.
Come on, pick it up.
What's the point? Pick the point, man.
The point is that they're doing these testings that have never been done before. They've spent more money, brought in more machinery than ever before. They're finding new stuff. They finally found gold on Oak Island this season. They found rubies last season.
Not buried though, right? Like, isn't that like
they're just fucking sitting there like, oh guys, I've been here for fucking 500 years. Nobody
okay, all right.
Found it buried. Yes, it's buried. They're finding. They've done tests that show that. A scientific test by geophysicists that are confirming this, that says, oh, due to our test, we can confirm that there's a fucking cavern underground that has a stone slab and then a cavern and then a stone slab, which they're saying that it's a fucking cavern or whatever, for lack of better verbiage. And then now they're saying that the money pit, which is what we argued the last time as to why the shit would be buried so far, is all a diversion, and that the money pit is there to basically be as deep as possible and be as confusing as possible, so people actually dig further, and the real treasure is actually like the water tunnels come in, fill up the thing, and then
Bradley.
Yeah, exactly. So Bradley makes a really good point here. Planted by Discovery Channel producers. Have you ever watched the show Storage Wars?
Oh, come on. That's such horseshit, guys.
Yeah, no, 100%.
That's such an easy way. That's such an easy way to describe this. That's so silly. That's not even. You're just going from there could be nothing here to now this is planted by the History Channel to just get rated.
Some viewers, I don't just a little trickle.
I don't think there's that many fucking people watching fucking Curse of Oak Island where they're making millions of dollars off of this, where they need to go plant something to do this. These brothers you can go and research these brothers and their fucking company, and whatever they're doing on Oak Island is legitimate. So there's no reason why they need to actually plant stuff on this. These guys are doing this regardless of if they had History Channel backing or not. They were doing it before they even had History Channel backing. So to me, that's a flawed premise.
Okay, so Xander talks about Occam's razor here. He at least mentions it. Pretty sure I threw that out in the episode as well.
What's that mean again?
The simplest answer is the right one.
Yeah, the simplest. If you are a weak-minded person, that is definitely the way to go.
That's some shade right there.
I think you guys are discounting this too much, and I feel like the same way that you have to believe it. If you believe in Bigfoot. Or we're going to talk about we're going to talk about Loch Ness next season, right, Adam?
Now that's
or Nessie. So, not Nessie. Is that Nessie? Yeah, that's Nessie. Yeah. I thought that might have been the Lake Erie. What's the Lake Erie sea monster's name? Is that Nessie too?
Lake Erie sea monster. I don't know.
No, wasn't there? Oh, whatever. If anybody knows that, please post it in there too. But if you believe in that sort of stuff, then there's not a fuck chance that you can't believe in something happening at Oak Island based off of the evidence that has been found.
All right, so we've heard you talk about Oak Island for a long time. So if there's anyone that wants to come on and talk about Oak Island, another perspective, please let us. Otherwise, we can move on.
Lemmy, thank you, Miles. Lemmy was. I don't know if that's even the case, but wasn't he like he was?
We can have up to 4 people at a time. By the way,
yeah. We're getting some contradictory names for the Lake Erie sea monster.
All right, so we're gonna move on to JFK unless someone else wants to come on later and talk about Oak Island. And I'm gonna bring in Miles waiting in the queue. Miles, give me a thumbs up if you're good. All right, cool. Just a second.
Oh, there's a really nice little countdown too. I felt like it was very professional.
Yeah, very official here.
This is a free trial.
All right, so Miles, thanks for coming on for the first
Welcome
one.
back, Miles.
Oh, Chase, you say that with a little heart, buddy.
I just went from negating Oak Island. There you go, Bradley. to now we're going to talk about JFK, which we went rounds with the last time we talked about it.
So JFK. If you guys listened to that episode, Miles was our guest on that episode. He joined us because he's pretty passionate about it, and he apparently joined back to go for round 3 because we released 2 episodes on JFK because we actually talked for 2.5 hours about this, and we probably could have kept going
for like 3 more.
For more,
yeah.
But
we're about to.
But there was so Chase, you shared this new book that came out that I thought was really, really interesting called Smoking Guns by Ralph Thomas. Miles, have you heard about this book?
No, I have not.
Okay. So this book is pretty interesting, and but basically it talks about so Ralph Thomas, the author, claims that there's some documentation pointing to the reason for his assassination being his relationship affair with a woman named Mary Pinchot Meyer, who was a socialite at the time, and the affair became potentially dangerous, he argued, due to fears that the highly connected Mary Meyer, again, she was a socialite, really popular in the social circles, was sharing CIA secrets that she had gotten from her ex-husband, who was a CIA agent. And there was also some alleged evidence that points to Meyer getting JFK into recreational drugs, initially marijuana.
I want to know that evidence.
Cocaine and then LSD. She was also murdered about a year after JFK in suspicious circumstances. She was shot. The guy that was arrested for shooting her was found not guilty of her murder because they never found the murder weapon, and her murder has still never been solved. And Meyer was allegedly talking to friends about that she was collecting evidence that showed that the Warren Commission investigation was a pack of lies. So it sounds like a pretty interesting book. We obviously didn't talk about this take, although I jokingly threw out that Jackie Kennedy had him killed for being a man whore, but it kind of fits with that.
It's close. It's close.
But yeah, what do you guys think about that book and those allegations?
No, that's it's an interesting take on it. But apparently, looking at the comments, I haven't read it, but I'm married to someone who did, who while we were recording that was feeding me excerpts from it.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is a. I don't want to get into this again. I feel like this is just.
Is there a deadline? Is there a time that this section has to end?
It's gonna be fucking right now. There could again. Guys,
hey, hold on. There's something after in retrospect, in hindsight, as I thought about the episode after it was released. I have one extra question for you, Chase.
Go ahead.
Can you accept that while you don't agree with it, that Adam and I's side is possible?
What? So are we narrowing it down to the CIA?
No. Just the, because at the end, when we tidied it all up and it was all tied in a neat little bow of unknowing, we just said that the foundation of our belief was that the official story is bullshit. Can you accept that it is possible that it wasn't Oswald and it was some other entity? Or is there no other possibility than Oswald in your mind?
I think I don't think those. No, it was Oswald. Dude's a crazy nutcase. I feel like I've proved my point in that episode. I think you can manipulate the story and find weird little things in every story that you want to that says, oh, this could have been this or this could have been this. I think what this guy's writing about could be very well possible, but I don't think that lends credence. Oh, there you go, Bradley. That's another one that I fucking use all the time. Lends credence. I don't think this lends credence to. I don't think you can make the leap from this story in this guy's book to the CIA doing. I don't think those two things, this could have happened, but I don't think that changes.
I don't think that's what he's saying.
I understand.
No,
I don't think
outside of the guy's book at all. As a whole.
Yeah. No.
Is it possible that it was not Oswald in your mind? Is there any possibility in your mind at all?
I think that's a loaded question, because there should always be a doubt. You question everything, right? Like in every circumstance of life, like there should always be a doubt that something is happening. However, something additional is happening. Through my research and what I believe, it's Oswald did it. So I'm not going to succumb to your guys' peer pressure to believe in a different story. I believe the story that happened because I've looked at the facts, and I don't feel like there's any legitimate reason why this would have happened outside of how it happened. So you can present you can present with any facts you want to. You can manipulate it however you want to. That doesn't. You can look at those facts and say, well, what if this girl's old husband shot him? Like because they were mistresses or whatnot. Or what if the girl's drug dealer because he was getting ready to do whatever. However you want to.
You believe so much. You believe so much shit on like no to way less evidence. I don't understand how this is the one that you believe the official story on.
Well, no. Like, all right, when Adam asked me to come on for that episode, I had prepared for a week of being Team Miles and Chase versus Adam, because he is the Scully to your Fox Mulder in this whole show. he is absolutely 100% that. So I really thought, like, man, I was like, I like Adam. I don't want to argue with Adam for an hour. It's like, and then, I'm going to end up becoming best friends with Chase, and then we're going to run away, and he's going to have dreams of me in a basement instead. And it was a complete switcheroo. No, look, and yeah, I mean, I think me believing the official story in this should be the fact that I don't believe in a lot of official stories with anything. So I feel like that makes my argument a little bit more prominent. But logically thinking, the fact that you believe in a lot of like really out there things, the fact that you believe this one only makes your side in this one seem a little more out there. Well, maybe you can pitch it however you want. Just drawing lines.
So Chase, you got a question here in the chat.
Is it Kristen. The magic bullet fucking argument?
Yeah. So she's asking you. Kristen's asking you, how do you explain the magic bullet, Chase? So how do you succinctly explain it?
So is the magic? So just so we're all on the same page here, are we all under the same magic bullet type conversation that it goes through Kennedy, it goes through the governor guy, and it's still fully intact, and the physics of how it gets there doesn't even make sense? Is that basically what the magic bullet is in a nutshell?
I'm pretty sure Miles explained it pretty.
Yeah, I didn't listen to half of the stuff that Miles said last time.
Miles, that's probably why you weren't convinced.
If you want to explain it again, go ahead.
I think what you're on a good trail there. That the amount of bullet trajectories and bullet damages that are supposed to come from one bullet is a physical impossibility, like physics impossibility, as I kept saying in that episode. Because as I listened back, just like you, I was like, wow, I sounded really, really stupid in that.
Yeah, that's how I sound most episodes. So I feel bad.
I feel your pain, buddy.
I try, man. I try to edit.
So I don't know enough about that to make an argument as to how it happens from a physics perspective, from a physical bullet perspective, or whatnot. I think what I do think, and I would be safe to say that I know based off of what I've read, is that the whole investigation from the start of Kennedy getting his face blown off to the end of how they moved his body from the hospital, everything was against protocol. Everything was just so discombobulated that I don't in that case, I don't think you can believe the official reporting on anything from after it happens until they basically bury his body, because everything that happened was against protocol. They moved his body out of the hospital when they weren't supposed to. They did all of this stuff that doesn't make sense. And I'll be the first person to admit that there's not going to be answers to everything in this. And the magic bullet argument is probably one of those things. But I don't think that leads to a conspiracy. I think that leads to this was unprecedented territory. This was something that they needed to get the fuck out of the way quickly. that nobody knew how to deal with. And I think you get a lot of different reporting and official reporting and not official reporting and everything else, and everything gets discombobulated. So I think there's a lot of different possibilities as to the magic bullet not actually being the magic bullet that everybody insists that it is, in the fact that maybe the angles were off, or maybe the physics was actually, correct, and the reporting of the physics wasn't correct and whatnot. I just don't know. You can hang me from the cross for that I don't know the answer to the magic bullet, but I don't feel like I need to explain the magic bullet in order to believe that believe my viewpoint on it.
I mean, I just don't see how the official story is even close to at least the full story. Yeah.
That's fine.
At all.
Okay. I mean, you don't have, you don't have to. You don't have to believe it. That's the glory of it. Your job is to take a hypothesis, which is this is what happened, and do your own research as to do that. So obviously you guys have done your own research. I'm never going to convince you based off of your guys' thought process and your guys' research that it's something different. So I don't feel like I need to. I'm just saying that definitively nothing fucking happened outside of the unofficial or the official story. So I'm just kidding. That's a douche statement, but I'm just saying you can believe whatever you want. It's just about presenting the evidence. I just happen to think that my story is correct. And
so Kristen wants to know why. Like, what evidence makes you believe that Oswald did?
Okay. Let's have a fireside chat here, children.
Okay, JFK makes me pee, so I'm gonna.
Okay, go ahead.
I gotta pee too. Can we talk about a topic that? All right. So, I believe Oswald did it because, one, it's the official story, and I am not as Miles. I'm not as sadistic or against. I'll say against the government as you are when it comes to they're hiding something. I believe that the government is dysfunctional. And to hide something like this, there's an unofficial story somewhere of what actually happened. I don't believe that that's necessarily the case, because I know how the government works. I've been in the government. I know how dysfunctional it is. We've all seen how dysfunctional it is. So to carry a 50-year conspiracy this long without somebody coming out and saying, "Oh yeah, the Warren Commission was a big fatty liars," and all of that stuff, I just think is wrong.
But I mean, a lot of people have come forward throughout the years and said like, hey, like lower end people have come out throughout the years and said, and oftentimes in any government conspiracy, when somebody comes out and speaks about it, they die of the flu in the middle of July in Cancun, or whatever random reason that is attributed to their death.
Yeah, but I mean that's a coincidence, right? Like
but is it? But that's what okay. If it was a conspiracy, they would want you, and this isn't you, Chase. This is the general you American public to believe that it was a coincidence. That yeah, this person. But you go outside of this one conspiracy and you go into the plethora, the gambit of conspiracies that go anywhere involving just a single official to the government as a whole. You see people dropping like flies, like the author of that book that Adam was talking about, mysteriously dies a year later after publishing all of these items that are seemingly damning to the official story.
Yeah, but she was also a drug addict. She was also mixed up in a lot of really weird things that the president shouldn't. The lady that's making all these claims, the author
of that book, the smoking gun one.
Well, not the author, but the lady that the guy references in the book, right?
Oh, right, yeah.
Mary Meyer.
So she died a year later, right after Kennedy did, and she's claimed to have all these secrets. She was a drug fucking addict that was having a potential affair with the president. I don't necessarily think that that's a lifestyle that's going to grant you to live till the year 102 anyway. So again, you can chalk it up as a coincidence that happens. What was the fucking other points I was trying to make? I don't even know anymore. I go off on these tangents, and this is where Adam starts to edit it out.
So
hold on.
still believe
Go back to your
story.
point. Hold on. Go back to your point too, Miles. So let's say that you're alluding to that these people are being poisoned, correct? Or they're being killed off. They're being, however, this. Okay, so Russia, who is notoriously good at everything, right? I mean, they're good at drinking vodka. They're good at what they're most good at is manipulating governments, manipulating the world to believe that they are a superpower. When they go and try to murder their defectors and the people that they want to try to murder, and they get fucking caught, that should lend you to believe that 50 years ago, the fucking stupid ass American government, and I say that in the nicest way possible, but there ain't a fucking chance that Russia today is still getting caught trying to assassinate people. And the government of 1960 US has never been caught doing any of this stuff. To me, that just seems like a far-fetched fairy tale that you're dealing with somebody that really knows how to do it in Russia, and they're getting caught all the fucking time comparatively to you're telling me that for 50 years nobody's come forth and said, this was a true tale, this was a true to form conspiracy, this is what it was. You've had loony bins come forward and say, this is what it is, this is what I've done, so and so did this and I was doing this and I know this, but nothing's ever been proven.
So you still believe the official story. You're not going to change your opinion. No. Miles could come on 17 more times and you still don't agree.
Yeah.
Okay. Miles, do you have anything else you want to add?
No.
You want to talk about anything else that we've already covered or anything here?
Do you want to postulate for 2 minutes while I take a leaky poo?
Yeah.
Not leaky poo.
I'll keep Adam in the company. You take a leaky poo. You take a leaky poo, buddy.
Just make sure you wipe.
Exactly, Jay.
So, Miles, I mean, I think you said in chat that simulation theory was your favorite, not necessarily episode, but topic. You want to say why?
All right. So, yes. All right. So, Adam, wouldn't creation theory through any religion, Christianity being the most prominently known, be a form of simulation theory? Because I think a lot of in that episode, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off before you answered.
God is the director or something.
Yeah. The God that we think of in the Christian faith or any faith that has a creation myth or theory, because I think in the episode in simulation theory, Chase was much too hung up on technology, because once you get technology to a sufficient level, technology becomes organic. I mean, you look at the technology we have today of nanobots and whatnot, of cloning and whatnot. I mean, we can grow a freaking ear on the back of a mouse, and that's a simulation. That ear was never supposed to grow on the back of that mouse. That in and of itself is a simulation.
So, but you're saying that eventually we would be able to create another God that would create another universe?
No. But instead of creating a technology and thinking of simulation theory in terms of some supercomputer that's revolving around the sun for all of its power to store all of this information, but legitimately creating an organic simulation of life, which is in reality creating another life, but is a simulation. Because if you take life as we know it, regardless of whether or not it's a simulation, if you take life as we know it and break it down to its most fundamental blocks, all it is code. DNA is just code. Once scientists figure out a way to alter DNA at its base level, you're recoding the simulation. The periodic table of elements, all that is a code, a number of ons and offs in each atom. Those atoms, those ons and offs come together in a series of molecules that is just a code.
Sure.
And that's it. And that would be all it would take, is that knowledge to create a simulation. So if Adam, you think of simulation from that organic sense of life is at its base a code, is it possible that we're living in a simulation?
I mean, so to me, what you described there is what Chase probably thinks my argument around vampires was, right? So, like, based upon that definition, I mean, sure, that sounds like a reasonable argument. That's not what Chase was arguing. That I don't think that's what Chase believes. But under that technical definition, I mean, sure, that seems fair.
Okay.
What the fuck did I miss?
I earlier in the chat talked about how simulation theory was my favorite topic. It was the one that.
Do you agree with me?
I absolutely.
No,
I was
I agree with you.
No, I do. No, I do. Because it could exist in either way. I mean, you can, like you were saying, and you were touching on it in the episode, trying to equate it to life as a sim in the Sims, because most of us have played the Sims so it's one that we can easily grasp and think about. But yeah, no, it's easy to create an AI. I mean, we're already creating AIs, and then if you watch a show like Humans or Westworld, where our technology is close to being able to create a free thinking, self-aware machine that exists in the physical world that is in and of itself a simulation. But if their mind, everything about them is mechanical. The only thing organic, the only thing living as that being is all data, all coded, and could easily be uploaded into a computer. And not to, if anybody likes that type of stuff, watch Humans. It's so much better than Westworld. But so I won't spoil it. But yes, you can put that mind into a computer. You put a bunch of them in a computer, and you lasso them in. It's totally possible that we live in that.
So I guess, sorry I asked you the question, Miles.
Yeah, is that what
really fired up there.
Is that what I fucking sound like when I go on tangents?
Yeah,
but
not quite as
You're welcome.
sophisticated.
Oh, thanks.
But I mean, we do need to, I guess, keep moving a little bit. But Claudia commented about, if I was a believer now, and that maybe Miles, you should debate for Chase instead. But
Come on.
but no, I mean, I think that I wouldn't necessarily say I'm a believer, but I think that argument, if you believed in, I guess, God and whatnot, I mean, it's a logical way to frame it. But
well, I don't. Again, I think there's probably several ways to skin a deer in this conversation. I think me and Miles being on the same page, it doesn't matter how we get to that logic, right? Like you with the peanut butter or the Planters peanut guy and the Monopoly man. It doesn't make sense how you get there.
They look the same. They're basically the same,
and that's fine. So, Miles, feel free to come on anytime you want, man.
Yeah, thanks for.
now that I'm on your side on one,
yeah. Come on.
Thanks for coming on, Miles.
Right,
we appreciate you.
Before I go, one last thing. All right, for simulation theory, and it was the thing that I was screaming at the radio when I was listening to it, is philosophers have been doing this, thinking this the whole time without thinking that this was, because they couldn't put it into an aspect. And the only thing you can prove in life, Adam, is that you exist. You can't prove your kid is real, your wife, us, this podcast, this live show, nothing. You think, therefore you are. That's it.
Boom. Roasted.
And they have been postulating over this throughout all of the time, all of life. So, all right. Thanks for having me on the first time and this.
Yeah, absolutely. Bye. Thanks for coming on. So again, anyone else wants to join us, please do so.
See how fun it is?
The link is in the comments here. Allison's posted it a couple times. So episode 8, Strange Laws. So this episode, I don't think anyone mentioned it as their favorite, which I guess doesn't really surprise me. But I mean, it was a fun one to do.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it. But I got a couple, or at least one that I think is really appropriate for this time of year. So
Ooh, Christmas time?
Yeah.
Or holiday time? All right.
Yeah. It's December 1st, so it's basically Christmas, right? So in Maine, it is illegal to have Christmas decorations up after January 14th.
That should be a law.
Yeah, it's almost a perfect law, in my opinion. The only thing that you need to add onto it is that you can't put them up before December 1st, in my opinion. I don't think it's necessary to have them up.
We didn't. We put up decorations inside for our own enjoyment and didn't bother anybody else with it. So right after Thanksgiving. So I might go against that part, but the length of it definitely would change.
We ate Thanksgiving dinner and then Allison decorated for Christmas.
Yeah, us too. Oh, that was we did it the next day, but go Allison, nice job.
Like it's just like, okay, we're done eating. We're moving on. So
hey, at least I made it till Thanksgiving this year. It's the first in quite a few years.
That's true. You want to post the link again?
Yeah.
In case anyone else wants to join us.
See, it's not hard.
Don't everyone jump at once though. Episode 9 was Bigfoot.
This is another one. This is another one where we can debate back and forth all fucking day. And I think maybe you could be convinced, though, that Bigfoot existed with the right argument.
Yeah. He was just in a really pissy mood that day.
I wasn't in a pissy mood, no.
That day?
Wow.
No, Chase's arguments just didn't do anything for me. That's what it was.
Well, first of all, going back to, and I want to hit on this in the comments for Xander, that it's not illegal to have sex with a porcupine or any animal in many states. Xander, be careful posting that, because I'm definitely going to comment on that, because I'm not sure if you're supporting that or if you're trying to get that law going, or that you're happy that doesn't exist. So kudos to you either way, but that is a strange law that you can what is that? What is that called? Isn't there why can't I think of it? Animalia? It's not animalia. That's the only thing I could think of. What the fuck is the term to having sex with animals?
Bestiality?
Bestiality, yeah. That's not illegal in any states. And obviously having sex with a porcupine, that was a very specific example, so I'm wondering where that came from. But okay. Thanks, Xander.
Porcupines are really big. Much bigger than you would think. Really excited.
Oh, that one that we just saw at the zoo was huge, yeah.
Does that make it acceptable to have sex with them? Is that what you're saying?
No, I mean, I'm just saying, I guess if you were going to have sex with an animal, like you wouldn't have sex with a tiny animal, right?
I mean, if you have a micro penis,
you'd have sex with a similar sized animal to you.
Welcome to the Stranger Than Fiction podcast. On this episode, we're talking about the size of animal vaginas.
Speaking of animal sizes, Bigfoot. Chase, what's your where are you at today with Bigfoot?
I'm still wait, where was I at Bigfoot is the question. Was I a believer or not?
You were a believer.
I think, and that doesn't change. I mean, you're not going to change my mind on this. I think there is room in this world for the undiscovered, or the cryptozoological, if you will. And I think that Bigfoot is a great example of that type of thought process.
So I mean, if you think about or if you go back to our episode that we did last, so dreams, where you were very hostile, but you made a lot of arguments about not relying upon people's ability to describe anything. However, your argument that Bigfoot is real is all of these people have seen it and they've talked about it.
No,
I mean you're just completely contradicting yourself.
No, that's not a complete contradiction, and I'll tell you why. Because you're talking about a dream which can be dictated 100 different ways once you're up. You might not remember that dream to a T. With Bigfoot, you're talking about crowdsourced thoughts, basically crowdsourced evidence. So the same people seeing the same thing over and over again. That's way different than a dream, because you're relying on one person's manipulation of that thought to repeat the dream. Where Bigfoot, over time has been seen supposedly by thousands or potentially hundreds of thousands of people that have the same similar sort of thought process. So that if you're telling me that one day 50 people woke up and had the same dream and this is what they wrote down, that's the equivalent of what we're talking about with Bigfoot. So I would be more prone to believe that. What was that the smartest thing that I've ever said on this podcast? I think it might have been.
Probably
Honestly,
not.
I think it might have been, because that was the clearest sort of get from point A to point B that I've had since we've been doing this. So I hope everybody appreciates that that's listening. But does that make sense?
I mean, yeah, I understand what you're saying. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I still think that you contradict yourself in a lot of different situations, but yeah, I understand what you're saying.
I don't think I'm contradicting myself in this case. This is you're talking about a thought of many versus a thought of one. And that's where I don't believe the thoughts of one. But if you're talking about somebody seeing a UFO over and over again in their fucking in Warrenton, Virginia, that's a different story comparatively to I woke up and saw this. Okay, well, fuck you, dude. Get out of here.
Okay, so again, we will in this episode we did talk about Loch Ness Monster. That is going to be a topic in season 2, and yeah, I think we'll be on opposite sides on that one, right? So
Yes.
I could convince you that that she's real.
So is it strange though? And this will be a little tickle your pickle for the next season, but is it strange that you don't believe in Bigfoot necessarily, which is we can categorize Bigfoot as
No.
cryptozoological, right?
It's not strange, and I'll explain why next season.
Okay, but I find that strange. Okay, whatever.
Okay. Episode 10
Chase's favorite.
was Creepy Kids.
Fuck this. We're gonna skip this one.
Creepy Kids was a fun one to do. Allison, that was Allison's brainchild, I'd say. She came up with that concept and kind of ran with it. I
You're welcome.
really hate Creepy Kids.
I love them.
Yeah, this was just a stupid episode. Like this just made like deep bone chills. Like just like I don't want to turn around. There's something behind me. I don't want to open my eyes. There's something there. It's just fucking weird, man.
And I would say that it was a fun episode to do, even though it was creepy. But it had one of my favorite moments, I think, from the season, where
I almost shit my drawers.
Scared Chase, got him to kind of scream because he thought there was something behind him.
No, I didn't think you got in my fucking head. You got in my fucking head, and I started to think that you didn't get in my head, and then it just like swelled in there, and then all of a sudden I freaked out. So it was a weak moment for me. So I hope that everybody appreciated it because it was a terrifying and very real moment in my life.
As you can see here, Miles that just joined us, his wife's calling him out here saying that he almost died driving home because she touched him and he jerked in the car.
Yeah, we actually drove home from your house in North Carolina listening to that episode. So we listened to it within the first hour of the trip, and then I was chilled to the bone for the last 5 hours. So not great.
But I have. It was a little. It's not exactly the same type of story we talked about during the episode, but I have kind of a story, I guess. So
Okay.
in 1993, and this isn't going to do anything to convince me that kids are not still fucking creepy, but in 1993, there were 2 British boys. They were 10 years old, and they tortured and killed this 3-year-old boy. And it's just a terrible story. I mean, they lured him like 2 miles away from his mom, who was on a shopping trip, and they beat him and stoned him and rubbed paint in his eyes and shoved batteries in his mouth and left his body on the train tracks to make it look like that he got hit by a train. And the 2 boys that did this, they were not even tried as adults, and they were released from jail by their 18th birthday and given new identities, I guess, to protect them. So it's just really like insane to me that that would happen. And one of the boys that did this ended up going back to prison in later years for other things. But
no shit.
Yeah, they're clearly fucked up. They should have still probably stayed in jail. But yeah, so kids are creepy. That's exactly why they're creepy.
Yeah, that goes beyond. I think that goes beyond creepy though. That's not scary. That's just psychopathic.
It's terrifying. It's terrifying.
I believe that there's a video of that, not of the murder or anything, but I feel like I've seen a video where the kid is luring away the kid that he's stealing from his parents. Like it's like a surveillance, or not a surveillance video, but like a terminal video somewhere where they're like in a train station or a bus stop or something, and you can see the one kid like grab the other kid and basically take him away. Is that the same video? Do you know?
I'm not sure if it's the same video. There are some interviews of the child or one of the kids that you can find on YouTube. It's pretty horrifying.
Yeah, it sounds very similar to that video, which would be very strange. But yeah, that fucking that's gross. And like, at what point? This is the American system of law, right? Like, at what point?
This was in England.
Oh well, okay. Well, this is the American system of law then. But let's talk about that. But how? Like, my eye's gonna just fall out of my head. Hold on, Jesus Christ! How fucked up is that? Is like in like Singapore, you can like get your hand chopped off for spitting out a piece of gum.
Yeah.
But in England, if you're underage and you murder a kid and torture them and do all of this heinous shit to them, as long as you're underage, you can probably get out by the time you're 18. Like, that to me is just that's probably a worldwide type thing where that just is very strange.
Yeah, Drew is saying that there is a video of that, Chase.
Yeah, I think I've seen that. Thank you, Drew. I definitely have. And just to be clear, Drew, it's the video of like where they just lure the kid away and that's it, right? You don't see anything else. It's just two little kids walking away. Yeah, that's sad. That sucks.
So episode 11 was mummies. So we Creepy Kids started our Halloween episodes, which I'd be curious to know if you guys have enjoyed these kind of series of episodes in general. Should we try to do that type of thing in the future? Let us know. Again, if anyone wants to join us, welcome to. Just check out the link in the comments. And
you sound like a YouTube child right now.
The YouTube what?
Like the YouTube kid, like Ryan.
Oh, subscribe.
Please subscribe, guys. If you like what we're doing, shout out in the comments.
So Mummies was our 11th episode. And one thing that I saw since we did this episode, it's not necessarily mummy related, but ancient Egypt. So, that's where a lot of the mummies came from. Obviously, was Egypt. And Egypt's economy comes heavily from tourism. So they've been putting a lot of efforts, I guess, recently into trying to find new stuff to drive tourism. But they did discover around the Great Pyramids, which are a pretty interesting topic, I think, that a kind of a transport system that they made up of ramps and stairs that could potentially partially explain how the large blocks were moved to make the pyramids, which has obviously been a long mystery. So, I think it's pretty interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, that has nothing to do with the episode, but definitely pretty interesting.
It's ancient Egypt, though. I thought it was cool.
I'm just kidding. Calm down. Yeah, that's definitely cool. And that's, again, one of those... never mind. I'm not going to get into it again. Yeah, that's cool. The Mommy episode, the Halloween episodes were fun because those, I think, are topics that get discounted a lot because of Halloween, right? Mummies and the Frankenstein stuff and the vampire stuff. There's a lot of creepy ass shit that happens with mummies and vampires and all that stuff that you really don't, besides in the movies and stuff where they're kind of spoofed a little bit. But I was happy to talk about those. That was kind of fun.
Yeah, I think we tried to put our own kind of spin on it, which I thought was cool. So episode 12 was our last Halloween episode. So vampires.
This one was a little bit weirder, I think. I think Mummies is like, it's cool because it's very like historic and there's definitely some historic relevance behind it. But Vampires was just like kind of on the creepy scale.
Which are you talking about? Mummies or vampires?
I'm talking about vampires.
Okay.
Mummies
So-
was sort of like historic. Vampires is just like quintessential creepy.
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed the vampire episode. I think it was pretty cool, and obviously, we had some pretty good arguments. I think in this one about vampires, which are very real, and
Well, whatever.
and the 4 different types and all that good stuff. But yeah, this one was pretty interesting. And there's another story about a vampire that I'll tell you. And he is a vampire because he drinks blood. So
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Per Adam's definition.
A guy named Mauricio Lopez. He killed a guy that his niece was having an affair with, and then after he killed him, he drank like a plastic like solo cup filled with his blood afterwards. And Lopez had previously warned the two to end their affair, but they wouldn't listen. So he stabbed him in the heart, in the liver, and he was caught 3 days later by police, obviously. And he told the police that he drank the blood, and he did it as part of a Mexican ritual, which would allow him to escape the police. So
is it a Mexican ritual or a New Mexican ritual?
I think it's a Mexican ritual.
Okay.
And it clearly doesn't work very well because he was only able to evade police for 3 days. But yeah, another vampire killing people, drinking blood. Just gotta watch out.
We can tomato the fuck out of what a vampire is, and you're never going to convince me that the true definition of a vampire is somebody that drinks blood, because those are just weird people.
Hold on. You didn't need to listen to the episode again. I didn't say a vampire is someone who drinks blood. That's not what I said. I said a vampire is someone that sustains themselves by drinking the life force, usually blood, of another living being.
I don't know about that. I'll have to go back and listen to the episode.
Go back and listen to it. Go back and listen to it.
I don't know. All right, whatever.
The life force that goes into the whole 4 types, right? There's 2 of them were blood, 2 of them were other life force, energy, like psychic energy type of stuff, emotions.
Okay.
So no, I did not explicitly say blood.
Okay.
And I guess we should say that Claudio called me out for a word that I use before as well, so you don't feel alone, Chase.
Was it AIDS? Because I see AIDS.
No, it was a little while ago. I didn't show it, but it was brainchild. She said I say a lot.
Yeah.
But
when you talk about, I was gonna say something clever there, and I couldn't come up with anything, surprisingly. So move on.
So episode 13 was classifieds. So classifieds, I think, was what I said was my favorite episode. Really enjoyed recording this one, and this is another one that I think we're going to try to do another take on next season as well. So I didn't plan to talk too much about it here. Save some of it for next season. But I will say that if you don't follow us on Instagram, you may not have seen. But we created a Craigslist ad for the show as kind of part of promoting the Craigslist or Classifieds episode. If anyone was interested, we did not get any responses for that ad, so it's kind of sad.
Man, we talked about how awesome it would be to just have a podcast where you just respond to these weird ads and just have a back and forth. Do you want to? I can't go on without reading you this one. This one was, I wish, something that I found while we were talking about this on the episode, but I do want to just a little tickler again for next season. But there's an ad in a newspaper for a used tombstone. Would you buy a used tombstone?
I mean, when does someone get done using a tombstone? Really?
That's a fair question.
Someone faked their death, and then
that's a fair question.
We
this
find
one,
out later.
If you were interested in buying this used tombstone, this tombstone would be perfect for someone named Homer Hendel Bergen Heinzel. So if anybody's listening, name Homer Hendel Bergen Heinzel. please contact us because we
just
definitely
take
have a
a-
used tombstone you can
Take a
use.
piece of paper and just like glue it on. Write the name on
Yeah,
there.
just
Like just putty up the.
I mean, you could probably do if
Driving.
your name was like Hendel Bergen or Homer Bergen, you could probably just cross off the other two and just make it like Scuffs or something and
I mean,
make it work.
My grandfather on my mother's side is named Homer.
Really? Is his last name Davila?
No,
What's his
That's-
last name?
I said on my mother's side. So
Oh, so what would that be? Do you want to say?
I'm not going to say my mother's maiden name. That's like how you get all my passwords and shit.
Oh, good. I just tried to socially engineer you by finding out your great grandpa's last name because his first
No,
name is Homer.
I said my grandpa.
Whatever. I can't be bothered with details.
Yeah, but that's how you get your password stolen. Public service announcement.
Wait, who's is it Annalise? Is that
Mhm.
she has a fucking thrift couch that was probably jizzed on and pissed on and crapped on.
We need a picture.
Annalise, I don't give two fucks if it was. Have you seen the people that professionally sanitize stuff? They need to be professionally sanitized. Like the whole thing doesn't even make sense. I appreciate that you wanted the hipster vintage 70s couch, but in the 70s that thing was just completely orgied out on, and that's noted.
About the decade now, and that doesn't.
Yeah, that is super gross to know. I appreciate thrift stores, but again, Snuggies, couches, anything that you're gonna like hats. Could you imagine buying somebody else's hat? I mean, that's just the weirdest fucking thing on earth. It's just to me that's just gross. So keep up the hipster, just like your sister Annalise. But
No.
yeah, but
Yeah, so Annalise
don't
is Allison's sister.
get rid of that. Get rid of that fucking couch.
And Annalise agrees with me clearly with this comment here that she's not pretentious. And she didn't
I'm
add
not
it, but it's kind of implied not pretentious like you.
I'm not
So I'll just
pretentious.
add that part.
I'm not pretentious. I'm sorry. I don't want doo-doo on my couch cushions, especially somebody else's doo-doo.
Says the man who has a toddler and 3 dogs
Yeah.
all over the furniture.
I
There is
fucking
doo-doo
don't
on
like
your couch, man.
There's no doo-doo on my couch. Come over here and look. Doo-doo free
I've
house.
smelt the farts of your dogs. There is fecal
Well,
matter just all over the
I mean,
place.
you just went and took a leaky poo a little bit ago.
Okay. Touche.
All right, our last episode, our last normal episode, I guess. Dreams. So, Chase, I mean, you were pretty drunk on this episode, right?
Oh no.
You were very angry.
I actually don't even drink. I don't know. I don't know why that's so funny.
You were so angry in this episode.
I wasn't, but here's the thing. I'm not just angry during that episode. I mean, those two things aren't mutually exclusive. My anger and my ability to drink beer is not something that.
You're just an angry drunk, though. Is I guess what I'm saying.
I'm just an angry. I have my own opinion. That's all. And I don't think. I don't understand. And I'll go back to it without getting angry. I don't understand why you want to control your dreams when, as adults, you have to control every facet of your awake life. That's all that I was getting at. It doesn't matter if I'm drunk or not drunk. All I was saying is that I don't want to control my dreams because I want to go to sleep. I appreciate if you want to. I don't believe that you can. But and I don't believe that you should as an adult. If you're trying to control your dreams, you're not doing enough real world stuff to want to control them.
I think you want to control your dreams regardless of how stressful you are, because then you can do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah, but that's the whole point of a dream, isn't it? Isn't the whole point of a dream to just take you to this world where you don't have to do anything and you can just live however is going to be decided for you? That's a dream to me. Yeah, that's all. I mean, I'm not drunk right now, and I'm making the same argument. So I just
in a much less hostile way, though.
Well, I mean, because I got fired. Look, what do you want me to do? You keep poking the bear. I'm gonna get fired up about it. I'm just saying. I want to sleep when I sleep. I don't want to go into an inception dream and steal $1 million and.
Why not? That'd be fun.
Yeah, but it's not real.
But
I have other shit to worry about.
I mean, I think this was enjoyable episode, and it turned out, I think, to be a pretty good one.
Who's David Devlin? Let's have him hop
My
on. And
stepbrother.
he said he can lucid dream. So while you're going on your whatever you're about to talk about, Adam, let's have David come on and talk
I
about
was
his
Davey
lucid
boy,
dreaming.
come on down.
So I was actually going to talk about how another method that you can try to improve your ability to lucid dream is where I was going to go. That
Okay.
we didn't talk about in the episode.
All right.
So Claudia did ask here, where can we find out how to lucid dream? Well, maybe David can come on and tell us, as been
Yeah,
described
David-
here. But
David-
also,
Lucid
you could
dream.
also try some drugs. So
Okay. Problem
Which
solved.
some scientists at University of Wisconsin Madison and the Lucidity Institute in Hawaii have discovered that you can take a certain Alzheimer's drug called galantamine that could more consistently create a lucid dreaming state. So in some trials that they did with a placebo, about 14% of people reported that they could lucid dream. Giving them just a 4 milligram dose of this stuff increased the percentage of people that said they could lucid dream up to 27%. So almost doubling what the placebo got. And then if you go to an 8 milligram dose, you can get up to 42%. So, approaching half of the people were able, allegedly, to lucid dream with no additional side effects reported. So there may be soon a way to drug yourself into the ability to lucid dream. But if you could also, again, try the journaling that Chase loves and the reality checks as kind of grounded ways to improve your ability to potentially be able to lucid dream.
Well, again, I want to hear from somebody that actually has lucid dreamed in order to get their point of view. But again, I don't feel like the journals help. I don't feel like
You
lucid
can't
dreaming.
say that if you don't try it first. It's like saying you don't like peas and you've never tried peas. You can't say that.
Oh, no, I say that shit all the time.
I know
No,
you do, and it's bullshit.
That's not really the same thing, first of all.
Exactly. I agree with Jason, though.
I don't even know how to explain it, guys. Like I feel like all of these what's funny about this podcast and pretty much about our friendship, Adam, is that I have to constantly prove shit to you if I believe it. But when it comes to you believing shit, you're like, nah, I don't really believe that. And everybody's like, oh, okay, perfect. Yeah, that makes sense.
So we haven't really talked about something yet, I would say, that I believe that you don't, except for I guess JFK, I suppose, was the only thing that was close to that.
Yeah, and again, I had to justify why I was wrong. You
Because
didn't
the
have to-
evidence is on my side. In my opinion.
That's such a in your opinion. Yeah, exactly. This is that's fucked up. That whatever. That was
So
just an observation I just made
we
right
had,
now about our whole friendship.
We had Xander try to join here. He was in for a second and he left. So.
Come back. Oh, wait. Here we go.
All right. Xander, give me a thumbs up if you want to come in, man. I can see you waiting in the queue.
Can you hear us?
No, I don't know. See your dog in the background.
Aww.
All right, here's
Okay,
the
there
dog.
we go.
Is it the
All
dog
right.
that wanted to come on?
All right,
I
so
wanna
Xander's going to join us. Not sure what he wants to talk about, but
Hey, Xander.
Hey. So I always lucid dream. I don't ever not lucid dream.
All right, go on.
hold on. You don't ever not lucid dream.
Yeah.
You lucid dream every night.
Yeah.
All right, do you do
Okay.
drugs?
I don't.
Okay, all right. So
It's a
explain
safe place. You can tell us.
explain to me your process. What so was this okay? This is opening up an entire world for me. All right, so have you always done this? Has this always been a thing?
As far as I can remember, I didn't realize that other people couldn't until about 14 or 15.
Okay.
That's when I realized that, I
Alright.
lucid dream and other
So-
people don't.
So this was never an attempt to lucid dream. This was just something that came naturally.
Yes.
Okay. Do you keep a journal next to your bed with your dreams in it to maintain your lucid dreaming?
I don't. No, I don't.
Well, it sounds like he was just a natural born lucid dreamer.
Okay.
So-
So, what percentage of your lucid dreams would you think that you actually remember, let's say 75% detail of?
Um,
Hi, puppy.
sorry, he's whining a little bit, but no, I would say that I remember every one of my dreams. They do fade after I wake up,
Okay.
but I remember them for an hour or two after I wake up.
To
So
like
what-
a huge amount of detail.
Oh, yeah, all of it, like exact
So what
details.
what kind of lucid dreamer are you? Are you able to control, or you just become aware once you're in and you can kind of control from there, or can you dictate what you're dreaming?
So there's three basic stages. So
Oh.
there's one where I'm in complete control, where I can say and do anything I want and make or do anything that happens in the world. So there's another one where I can impose my will on an event and then rewind time and have it kind of play forward again.
Jesus fucking Christ.
So if I don't like how something happened, it's kind of like when you play one of those video games and they say, Life is Strange. I don't know if you guys ever played that.
No.
But you can kind of rewind time and then redo something until it kind of goes the way you want it to do.
That's like Blitz. Hold on, stop right there. You remember Blitz back in the day where like you could redo one play of the 4 downs? Whatever. Doesn't matter. Continue. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
And then there's the ones where I'm just aware that I'm dreaming, but I don't have any control. Those are by far the least common.
The ones like a normal person dream is the least like where you just
Well,
dream.
so where I'm aware that I'm asleep and I'm
Yeah.
dreaming, but I don't have any control over any of the events that are happening in it.
Fascinating. I probably
So-
should have. I wish I would have prepared more questions. Go on. Go
Yeah, so
please,
we
Adam.
got a question here from Claudia. What if you have a nightmare?
I don't have nightmares.
You don't have nightmares. Okay.
Oh God, that's amazing.
Interesting.
Yeah, because I'm always in control.
So,
Or almost always in control, I should say.
do you feel like people that don't lucid dream are better sleepers than you, since your mind is probably much more active during lucid dreams than a normal sleeper would be? Do you think you are a less of a sleeper than a person that normal dreams or just doesn't dream?
I think that I have done a sleep study or two
Yeah.
in my time, and I go into REM sleep very early, but that's pretty common for most military people.
Mhm.
So I go into REM sequences very early and very often. So
Okay.
within the first 3 hours of sleep, I get as many REM cycles as most people get in an 8-hour sequence.
Interesting.
So I sleep fine. I sleep better than most people on lower amounts of sleep.
Do you feel like this, we'll call it a skill for lack of better terms, do you feel like this lucid dreaming skill has any real life implications, I guess? Like, do you feel like it translates? Does it make you, are you a Jedi?
I am very often a superhero in my
Yeah.
dreams.
Okay.
But I think that it does help a lot in
Okay.
developing your imagination and developing your ability to play through sequences or events and kind of determine, like, how people practice speeches and things like that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I can do that while I'm sleeping.
What the fuck?
So,
See,
so there's
oh
some
my God.
there's some questions that are going to this effect. So, obviously, what is your technique to understand, if you're not dreaming right now, essentially? Like, how do you know you're not
Like your
dreaming?
totem or whatever
So
we
what's
talked
your
about.
reality
I don't
check?
have one. There's just a sixth sense, if you will, that says I am or am not sleeping.
Interesting. So we could be in your dream right now. This could all be.
You're not. but
Simulation. No.
We're in
You could be in a
his,
simulation. We could be in the whale's dream.
So
interesting.
what would you say is your best dream?
So by far the most profitable for me is I dreamed a sequence of events that I then wrote and put a novel out, and it sold
Oh.
a lot of money.
Nice.
What's your novel?
You
Yeah,
can
plug it.
plug your
Oh,
novel
it's
if you want.
called
Go ahead.
Advent. It's a post-apocalyptic urban fantasy.
That sounds amazing. I'm gonna read that.
It's about a.
Do you want to be a sponsor?
I get my first royalty check in December, so it may at the end of the month.
All
Who
right,
knows,
come
maybe.
back then.
Huh.
But yeah, so that was definitely by far the most like profitable
Yeah,
dream that I've ever had.
That's pretty cool.
So
Weird.
Awesome.
And yeah, I think there's probably a whole other episode, like a part 2 now, that
Yeah,
you have to
that
come
was-
on and we'll do another dreams episode because I want to make sure I was ill prepared for a legitimate Jedi to come on the show. So I want to make sure like I have legitimate questions for you because I don't want to. I don't want to do this. I don't feel like this is something that can actually be done on a regular basis. So my fascination has been piqued, and I
So
want to make sure that I do you justice.
Yeah, I do know a lot of people who are not natural lucid dreamers, that they actually have to work at it and they try to do it, and they go through like the dream journals, and they do the telling yourself that you're going to remember your dreams before you go to bed.
Yeah.
And there's significant proof that if you tell yourself you're going to remember your dreams, you're going to remember your dreams.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what I was saying in the episode where I was the week leading up to, I was making a really concerted effort to try to remember, to try to have some sort of lucid dream so we could have something interesting to talk about. But wasn't successful necessarily, but definitely able to at least remember some more than I normally do, which is pretty much nothing. So
I have one last question. Do you think there's something built in you or something like chemically different or biologically different that makes you an avid lucid dreamer? And then my second question would be, do you think that there has to have that same sort of thing, if there is something in a casual lucid dreamer?
I think that there's definitely a skill for normal lucid dreaming that people have to develop in order to kind of enter that state of awareness where they kind of break out of the dream state. I personally have never experienced that because I haven't had to, but I know that there's lots of people who do go through those sequences, and they've told me their experiences, and we've kind of compared notes. But as far as me chemically speaking, I don't know whether it's just a factor of how my brain works. I definitely have I'm not someone who is interested in things that control or that can influence my mind. Alcohol, drugs, things like that. I don't like them. So I don't know whether that's an element of like not wanting to give up control that just carries over into my subconscious brain or what. But
I think you need to write a book all about this.
I think
Really?
fuck the book. Just keep coming on the podcast. I feel like we'll get more listeners.
Yeah, so I think to Chase's point, if you're willing and open, we might look to maybe do a Dreams Part 2 next season if you
Sure.
want to come and join us.
Yeah, and read Advent by. Do you have a pen name or is it Xander?
it's Xander Boyce. Yeah.
Okay. Read
Yeah, it looks
Advent.
like I think you plugged it here in the
Yeah,
comments.
I put a link in there. So
So
Well,
everybody check.
that's based on one of Xander's liquid dreams. So make sure you read it. Lucid dreams. Sorry.
That's a different type of dream, and we're not talking about that one.
Well, congratulations on the new book, and thanks for joining us. And continue to
thanks.
listen, and we'll reach back out for a way more interesting interview, I'm sure. So thanks. Good luck.
no problem. Have a good day.
Thanks a lot, Xander.
You too. It's fascinating.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Really
Yeah.
appreciate that.
I wish I was
jealous.
more prepared with
I'm
more
really
questions.
jealous.
It's literally like meeting a Jedi, and you're like, "Bah, can you show me
Yeah.
your lightsaber?" all these fucking cool questions you could ask me. Like,
What color is your lightsaber though? Is it green? Is it blue?
That's exactly the case. Like,
I hope it's not red. Or maybe it's purple. Maybe.
yeah, that's exactly the case. Like, you finally get to talk to somebody, and again, that was. I'm genuinely interested in that because it's not something that I believe in. So if we can find evidence of somebody that does that, then it's super fascinating to me. So
Cool.
thank you, Xander. Yeah, thank you for everybody that asked questions and had everything.
Allison posted the link again if anyone else wants to join us. It looks like Anthony says he's got a question unrelated to dreams, which is fine. We're happy to circle back. We were just trying to kind of go through and summarize the season as we were kind of moving along. But yeah, we're happy to circle back if you want to pose your question or you want to join us, even better to ask. But yeah.
What do you? So this is going in. We've sort of discussed next season a little bit.
Yeah, we got a rough kind of outline, at least for the first.
Of that rough outline. What are you looking most forward to? You think?
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to convincing you about Nessie. So that's going to be in the docket.
Okay.
I think that's going to be fun. there's a an episode that I'm pretty excited about that we're gonna do around time. I think that's gonna be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Or at least I hope it will be.
Yeah, I actually am. I think that's one of the most anticipated episodes for me, from my perspective, is the time episode, because I think there's some really interesting stuff that can be discussed. Especially, I mean, tying it back to, I don't know if it ties back to simulation theory, but it's of that same vein of the multiverses and everything else. So I'm looking forward to talking about that. So we have a lot of shit that we can talk about, though. We have a lot of topics.
I mean, that's the great thing. We got a good roadmap. We appreciate everyone that's listened so far, and hope you'll stick with us as we kind of just take a little break through the holidays here. But I guess I got a couple more I can mention. But Anthony looks like he's interested in where we grew up in Ohio. He says he can't join, but he's got a toddler sleeping. He doesn't want to angry wife, which I
I'm in the basement
completely.
Yeah.
We have our monitor actually sitting right next to the computer here, so totally understand.
Our creepy child is right here.
I don't even know where my kid is. This podcast takes precedent over everything. She just wanders around till I'm done.
So yeah, Chase said it there. So Berlin Heights, it's near Sandusky, Cedar Point, kind of right in the north, right on the shores of Lake Erie, basically. But
It's
halfway
been-
between Cleveland and Toledo.
It's been called
Okay.
the must-see area of Ohio. Let's just say that.
No, I don't know that it's been said about.
He knows the truth.
No, you live
Yeah.
in Sandusky. You know the truth.
So he knows about Berlin Heights.
All right. Well, thank you for listening, Anthony. Continue, please.
And then we both went to college in Toledo. Chase,
you went a lot longer than I did, though.
Chase started there.
That's okay. Look at me now, Mom. Look at me now. No, it's good to have people in Ohio listening. We have people in Virginia that listen. We have people in North Carolina listening. We're almost worldwide. We're like people at this
Hey,
point.
we have people in Poland that listen to us as well. Yeah.
That's almost my motherland. That's my whole family is from that area of the world. Not right now. We're obviously from Berlin Heights, but Ancestry.com says that's my my go-to place.
Exactly, Miles. Miles says, "Don't forget Poland," and don't forget Poland. Absolutely. Anthony also says he loves the podcast. Really appreciate that. Absolutely. I guess we didn't really touch on it here, but there was a couple episodes, JFK, and then Dreams, where we try to do something a little bit different with some contributions from listeners, and I think we were all pretty happy with the way those turned out. So really appreciate everyone's contributions there, and we don't want to wear it out, but certainly as we have topics that we think are appropriate, we might try to solicit more input. So really love that input, and hope you guys do too. So definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, and we've toyed with some merch too. Adam, do you want to show them your shirt?
I'm the only one that actually wore my shirt. Thanks, guys.
I have a shirt, but it's I think it might be too small or something at this point because of the holidays. But I have stickers and we have shirts. If anybody wants to support,
we can't actually sell it right now.
We need to pony up that license fee first, and then we can.
Well, but if we have interest, then
we need
I'd be more than happy to
pre-orders
pony
so
something.
that we can.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right, so I mean we're at like over 2 hours now. We've had a bunch of people hang out with us, stick it out, so definitely appreciate that. Is there anyone else that wants to come on and say anything? Ask Chase something, ask me something, tell Chase he's wrong about
This is like stump the chump. What are while we're waiting for anybody to comment or come on, what are your thoughts about season 1? How do you the inaugural season of Stranger Than Fiction, how do you feel about it overall? Are you looking forward to the future? Obviously you are.
we kind of just said I was listening to a lot of podcasts for a while, and it was like I think we could do this, you and me, and
Yeah, he came home one day and he's like, I think I'd like to do a podcast. And I said, well, you should talk to Chase.
And so then it's like, hey, Chase, you want to? So we haven't really talked about this on the podcast, but Chase usually like once a month or once every couple of weeks, he'll send me a business idea. It's like, hey, I want to start this business. This is my business idea. And like, well, except the one that you heard about in Classifieds, I suppose. I shoot him down every time for some reason. But I was like, hey, Chase, you want to start a podcast? And he's like, yeah, let's do it. What are we going to talk about? And
within like a week, I think
so then we were like, okay, well, let's figure something out. Eventually settled on this, and it worked out pretty well, I think. Definitely rough at the beginning, but we made a lot farther than I kind of figured, since we had really no planning going into it, and just kind of we're winging it for a while. So I mean, I'm pretty happy and proud of where we're at right now, and I think we'll do a lot better in season 2 than we did in season 1.
Yeah, and I think listening from the very beginning, where we were again huddled around one mic this close, face to face, probably far too many beers than we should have had to talk about simulation theory, until now, where as somebody said during the chat, what is that comment? Bin Laden dying of kidney failure in 2001.
Apparently, we need to do a Bin Laden up.
Yeah, everyone's interested in Osama. But thank you, Bellamy. Appreciate
enjoy your evening and the rest of the weekend. Thanks for listening. I think and it's kudos to you guys mostly, because I don't really I'm not that smart, but kudos to you and Allison for the production value of this podcast. And I think somebody mentioned it in the comments, but most of what's being done is because of Adam and Allison for all of this. So kudos to you guys. Please keep it up. I appreciate what you guys are doing from my perspective, because I really didn't think this was going to turn into anything, and now it's turned into not a lot.
Not nothing.
Yeah, but there's
more than nothing.
I think there's a good reason why there's been a pretty constant flow of people watching this over the last 2 hours when they didn't need to, when there's way more important things to do on a Saturday night. So I want to continue to provide good content, and I think we will continue to do that, and we'll continue to evolve. So I'm really looking forward to the next couple seasons of Stranger Than Fiction podcast.
And also interested in this format, if this is something that you guys would be interested in on some frequent basis, kind of this live kind of thing where we get some participation from you guys.
I normally do the show in the nude just to not restrict blood flow for all of my incoming thoughts. So if that's something you guys are interested in, then maybe we can arrange that too. I don't know. I'm just kidding.
Bring the
Ohio
back.
State.
Yeah.
So,
you got a lot of nose catch up there on the poll.
Way to just completely obliterate my self-esteem. Oh, it's still 67%. Yeah, baby. So.
Yeah, I understand with the football and stuff, but we were trying not to butt up too much with Christmas and whatnot. But we're hoping to have season 2 start back up not too soon in January, so hopefully not a long break.
And if you wanted to watch the Ohio State game, you really could have watched the Ohio State game and watched this at the same time, and really, I mean, you could have done both. So the Ohio State games are boring anyways, and this isn't. So
are they winning? I don't know.
I have no idea.
Oh yeah, okay. Your mom says they're winning, I think.
Okay, great. Thanks, Mom.
That's Barb Ferris right there, the lovely.
Responsible for this guy.
She doesn't have a beard though.
No, not January 1st. It's let me see if I can pull it up. I have a whole schedule. I know you're all shocked.
Yeah, if you guys don't already, you can, like our Facebook page, Twitter or Instagram, or keep it on our website, stftalk.com.
Yeah, our Twitter is pathetic. Y'all need to get on Twitter.
And
we'll keep you abreast of when we're planning to start up season 2.
January 6th is our release date.
Tentative
release date for our first episode, season 2.
Yeah, I mean, I think this sort of shows the power of social media too, because we're really not doing much besides just sharing stuff, and Allison's doing a great job at content for social media, but I think please continue to share and tell everybody to listen, because I think we're talking about some, regardless of whether or not you like me or like Adam or think this is interesting, we're talking about some interesting topics that I think have introduced a lot of cool things to some people. And I think the topics coming next time are even more sort of things that normal podcasts or things that don't normally get talked about. So hopefully we can continue to provide that for you guys.
Yeah, and even when we do talk about kind of, I was a little worried about JFK because it's a topic that I think has been beat to death in a lot of ways. But I mean, we try to put, I think, our spin on stuff, which I hope people appreciate. But yeah, and I mean, JFK was an episode that actually we almost didn't even release because we were kind of worried about some of the quality, the sound quality. So we almost didn't actually release it. We almost threw it out. And I mean, I'm glad we didn't. I think it can end up being okay once you kind of get used to some of the sound difficulties we had. But yeah.
Okay. Is that a wrap?
I think so.
Well, thank you guys. Enjoy the rest of your guys' weekend. It's like 4 hours past my bedtime already. So
yeah, we know you just want to sleep. Just
want to sleep. Okay. I got nothing else. I have nothing else.
Yeah, appreciate everyone joining us. If you're listening, and we're going to try to release it as well, obviously on the normal podcast feed. So if you're listening in the future, hopefully the new episodes aren't too far behind. So no, appreciate everyone joining.
Yep. Enjoy your weekend, everyone.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
See you, Chase.
Bye. If you're listening in the past,